Yeah, been getting up at 3 a.m. And then it's like, I know you could probably relate to this, Dermot. Like you get a download and it's like it makes all the sense in the world. It's just like, yes. And you feel like you're never going to have a question again. Like on your whole life, it's like just everything just like comes together in that one moment. And then an hour later, you're like, what? And like, you try to like, you remember essences of it, but even I look at my notes and I'm like, who wrote this? Like, it makes no sense. But here's what's crazy is it'll drive me nuts all day. And I'll just be like, well, then we're making a video. And I will sit down and then it comes out. And then I'm like, okay, there it is. But literally, I don't know how you guys, I don't know how any of you teachers in this group are not constantly teaching right now. Because I know you're going through it. I know you're going through it. And I know you're getting these nuggets and these aha moments. And I hope for mankind that y'all are writing this stuff down. Okay. Because you don't have to be there to teach. All right. Like you may even get something and be like, I don't know what the heck. And so you share it and it was for someone else because this is unity consciousness. Like we are officially like waking up to the fact that not only are we telepathic with our souls are telepathic, our spirits are telepathic, but as we create our new template here, that your template is going to kind of be its own vortex, and so you will be able to communicate with like minds. So you really don't need to worry so much about people not understanding you, or there's already too much saturation, or people are already doing this, or I don't really know if it makes sense. That is your own soul's baggage, right? Because like what is coming through your spirit, if you can actually express it, you're probably going to have bigger shifts than if you just keep suppressing it in and giving it to a couple of people around you that are like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Because again, we're all spread out for a reason to create these anchor points of light. And therefore, the people that are going to understand you the best are probably 4,000 miles away. And this is the power of the internet. I mean, your circle, your intimate circle is going to be more of a reflection of your soul's programs than it is necessarily your spirit's potential right now. And yeah, you're connecting more and more. But I did a video yesterday that was exactly what I explained. It was just like, I gotta get this out. I mean, it literally is like relief. And so I made the video, and then it was really for you guys because it's not like it's not even mainstream like work yet, talking about basically the soul loop, and that you're actually here on a reconnaissance mission to get your enslaved soul. I mean, that's why you're here. You keep saying, why am I here? Why am I here? This is my last lifetime. But ultimately, if you do not get into this body and integrate all of your soul, you're coming back. Okay. And God forbid, leave it here now. Right? Because what is happening now on this planet is a byproduct of what happens when we don't awaken to our potential. Right? It's like when we have to exit the building and we have to separate from that soul baggage that is left in density, enslaved in the third dimensional template of hell, which is where souls are enslaved. Okay. And we have to come back in here. We have to come back into the vibrational core that we left it in. So if we abandoned it and rejected it because we didn't like how heavy it was, if we, avoided it, we're going to get parents that avoid us. We're going to get the rejection. We're going to get the abandonment. So this whole boo-hoo stuff, even me, like when we tell that story of our childhood, we are telling the story of the condition that the soul was in when we arrived. Okay. And we knew that pain was going to help awaken us. So we didn't mind. We didn't mind being the empathic kids that knew more than our parents. We didn't mind, being kinder than everyone around us. But I will tell you that what I am like downloading now, that I'm kind of out of my own egoic trap that I was in for a long time. is this video is for you guys, but it is also for everyone who considers themselves a light worker, an empath, a sensitive, an indigo, a star, like whatever, star seed, whatever you want to call yourself, that you have separated yourself as. Okay. The one thing that how this template works against you, because here's the thing, it's kind of like social media, this template. It's always studying your behavior, and it's always showing you the reflection back of what you want that you can't have and what you hate. And so it's like, if you go on social media for 4 hours, you're going to be left feeling not very good, because you're going to see a lot of things that you can't have that other people are able to do. And you're also going to see things that you don't like. And so it's going to trigger you in both directions. And that's the secret sauce of this template, is to make you chasing a breadcrumb, okay, while like simultaneously being attacked and triggered for your light, or judged, or misused, or misrepresented, like whatever. Like, that's the whole game. And so when you're using the internet, or when you're using social platforms, you have to keep in mind that it's just like with everything else. It's like, you're gonna have to use it as a tool, and stop taking everything so personally, because this is kind of how it works. If you haven't watched the video I posted yesterday, it's not a big deal. I don't expect you to be around the clock watching my videos at all. But it basically talked about how we get stuck here. Okay. And how we, even though we are spiritual and we're helping everyone and we're doing our thing and we're getting certified and we're remembering that we're shamans and we're remembering all these things about ourselves, how we could literally die tomorrow and have to start all over. Okay. And the reason why is because, you've seen this big eye in Vegas, right? And it's like really creepy looking, but I mean, like from the inside, it's like the Truman Show, right? Like, they could create a whole world and you would have no idea that you weren't outside. Hello. Okay. So if you haven't seen the Truman Show, please see the Truman Show, because as he starts to escape, everything starts to work against him. Okay. So right before you get free, you guys, it's going to feel like you're doing the wrong thing, like your manifestations aren't working. And that's why I teach you guys about the echo effect, because that actually means you're doing right. Okay. So when you start to get close to the edge of your LED screen, so that big orb is made out of LED screens that are all put together. And as soon as they click together, they begin to show the same image, right? Like a puzzle piece. And you are a puzzle piece. Now, your spirit is a puzzle piece to unity consciousness. Your soul is a puzzle piece to the matrix. Okay. So when your soul pops in, it's hell. When your spirit pops in, it's heaven. Okay. And so the whole idea is that we always come with our own template, because your soul is still running your programs. It's not running collective programs. It's running your programs, but they just happen to be the same as, it's like your body has enslaved you, just like your government. All right. So when you come back into your body, it's the soul and the spirit. They become one, basically. And when you start to awaken to the spiritual world, here's where the built-in booby trap is. Because you guys think about it. How easy would it be if you just woke up and you were like, I'm God. And then you were just like, come on, soul, let's go. It's not that easy, because the soul feels in such discord of who you are, right? Because you have been back in source energy. You have returned to the ocean of consciousness. You are in that abundant freedom. You've been studying other realms. You've been having other embodiments. You've been everywhere that energy could be. And then it's like, okay, now I'm in a more of a master space with my energy. I'm ready to go back into hell on our reconnaissance mission and pick up my soul, right? Because your job here is the density is what keeps it here. It cannot be the vibrational match to pain or suffering or bitterness or any of it. It has to be all integrated into love, all of it. At least for you to be able to not have to play this particular game anymore. All right. But what you're realizing is that, well, I could build my own template, right? I could build like another template outside of all of this, And then that is going to hook in as the perfect puzzle piece to the unity consciousness, which is the kingdom of heaven is within you, right? It's like, that's within you. But the kingdom of hell is also within you. And that is considered your hell, because your hell is going to be repeating these programs as if it were true, even if it kills you, because it's not necessarily protecting you from immortality. It's protecting you because it feels mortal. It's like, don't put yourself out there. Remember last time we got hurt? So it's full of PTSD, ready to run it's ready to run the 7 stages of manipulation loop. That's why when you start any course or get a new job or get a new friend or get a new idea, it's always the honeymoon effect. And then the honeymoon effect moves into the breadcrumbing. I don't know if I really like this. I don't feel like I'm being treated well enough. This isn't what I signed up for. I'm out. And then we're in the dark night of the soul, because now I feel unworthy. I feel disrespected. I feel small. And we're going to fall down into the dark night, and we're going to pick ourselves back up, and we're going to fall back asleep in the loop, and we're going to start all over again with hope. Okay. And because we're living in this box, we're never really like, well, what's over there? Right? Like, I mean, everything that you're probably desiring right now is coming from this template, unless you're doing deep imagineering work with me. Like, if you're not creating your own 7 days of creation yet, if you're not creating your own world with the trees you want to see and all those things, you're still like, as an artist, looking at the medium of this template, and therefore it is designed for you to think that you're rising, and then it will always be a fall. And so when we become spiritual, we believe that that's a lesson, and that we believe that it's like, no, next time it's going to be right because I did shadow work. But unless you like go into full soul retrieval, okay, then, and the way you get into the soul, you guys, it's the body. The body is biological, and it has the DNA of your spirit, and it has the DNA of your soul. It's a mixed bag. You could go either way. You could rise to your full potential. You can rise all the way to, you can fall all the way to hell with nothing other than your version of your environment. So whatever you see in your environment that you hold on to as true, or whatever you're in resistance of, is a yes, because there's no in the universe. Everything is yes. Okay, so we go up and we fall from grace. We go up and we fall from grace. We go up and so I kind of showed you how this unconscious loop happens even with spiritual people, right? Because the first trap here is your past and your future. That is usually what puts you in a holding pattern for 30 years, okay? You are trying to outrun your past, okay, by creating a new future, and what you find in the future is your past, because everything you're running away from is running toward you. And then we start to go, wait a second, this is the same story. And you don't know you're living Groundhog Day because you have a different boyfriend and a different house, and maybe your hair color is different, but it's the same underlying ending. It always ends the same, with your name being shamed, or you have to leave your stuff behind and start over, or, you build something great and it just goes to crap, whatever your particular story is. We all have one. And it's very disheartening, and we fall down, but we're infinite immortality, so we always get back up. Okay, we always get back up even when our health is crap. We're just like, okay, as soon as the amnesia kicks in again and hope returns, we're back on the loop. Okay, now when you wake up, you're like, okay, my past, you start working on the past, you start doing a lot of clearing, you start, the past stops enslaving you. But your soul is like, okay, now that you're aware that this is a loop, come and get me. I know I'm just going to keep running these programs louder and louder. So you're going to have to come in here, and you're going to have to integrate this. Otherwise, it's not going to change. Okay. That's why, the divine subconscious is the woman, right? It's like, she's never going to forget, and she's going to use your past against you. Okay. So then when you kind of like get over the fact that you don't feel so entrapped by your past or your future anymore, because you start to like really learn quantum sciences, well, then you're like, okay. And so then naturally you are a creator. So if you're not creating a reality, you are certainly destroying one, because it's the same energy, as above is below. So if your life is not getting bigger, You're slowly destroying it. You just might not know yet. All right. Because that's what creation is. So what will happen is if you start to rise because you are creating new programs and you're starting to shine and you're starting to get that shine back that you always had, as soon as your shine factor starts to get high, you have this desire to share and connect. Okay. So my question in the video yesterday is, when I shine, I am. Okay. So this is going to be your hell. What is keeping you in hell? When I shine, I am, which means what happens to you when you shine? What is your story about your shine? What happens when you get to the finish line and you're ready to open the doors and your business partner runs away with your money? What happens when, you finally get the book written and, something happens? Because ultimately, this is what keeps us in the box that is the loop. All right. It's like this jail cell. And every single one of the empaths and light workers that I know, they want to shine more than anything, and they're terrified to shine. And the reason they're terrified to shine is because of what's in the soul. They're afraid someone's going to see what's in there. Okay. They think that they're going to be judged on it. They think that if anybody knew like what it was, that they would be a fraud, because they're basing themselves off of what they have not yet integrated. But if you could actually get your shine higher, that would be the thing that would integrate the actual loop. So it's like this challenge that if you don't go past the finish line, even if the finish line disappears, if you don't say, yes, I won, even if you're losing, you start the loop again. Because your soul is like, when you change, everything changes, but you don't change. All right. And so when we fall from grace because we get attacked or trolled, I mean, if you guys have been watching me, it's like, it's always something, it doesn't even hurt my feelings anymore, because I mean, it's part of this template to be shamed and guilted and attacked. People you love will literally feel betrayed by you if you shine too much. What the hell? Right? And this is the template. Don't be too shiny, but constantly want to shine, constantly want to grow. I want you to shine, but not like that. Okay. I want you to be your best self, but not like that. Because when you're like that, you're going to leave me because I'm not shining. And misery loves company. I bet you one of the reasons why some of you will not get higher than you are right now is you're afraid to leave somebody behind because they're not going to want to go. Okay. Because some of you don't have supportive partners. You have soulmated partners that are a vibrational match to the pain that's in your soul. It's okay. Because I'm going to show you how to get out of here. All right. Now, the second trap is when we fall from the shine. Like, okay, you're going to always have a go-to feeling when you feel shiny. That happens when someone throws you off. You're either going to feel humiliated. Okay. You're going to feel guilty for being too selfish. Okay. You're going to feel like a failure. You're going to feel like a fraud. Okay. You're going to feel resentful because someone just ran away with all your money. And so as soon as you feel one of those things, you're no longer shiny. You're a vibrational match to what was trying to get you out of your shine. And now you're going to fall all the way down to the beginning. Okay. It's like chutes and ladders, all the way down. And then it's going to be your dark night. And now a lot of your power is down here, because if you can actually drop all the way to grief, it's like, once you're in grief, nobody really can hurt you anymore because you're hurt. It's like, bring it. Really? Bring it on. It's like, if you're in true grief, the devil is terrified of you because nobody grieves here. Everybody is horrifically afraid to grieve. So we stay in anger or bitterness or irritation, because God forbid, if we drop into grief, we are completely disempowered, which means we return to all of our power. See, you're not afraid of losing something when you lost it. You're not afraid of losing something when you lose it. You're just like, it's lost. And if you could literally let yourself grieve, okay, the grief would empty and your soul would integrate a little bit. Because a lot of the reason why the soul is so heavy is because it's filled with grief that you won't feel. It's filled with shame you won't feel. It's filled with all these things you won't feel. And so that's what gets heavier. And so I see adults, we're always breaking our fall with emotion. It's like we don't just fall into anger. We don't just fall into grief. It's like we always catch ourselves. We stop our speech. We always rigid up. We always lock up. We always deal with it later. Because again, we have also been simultaneously attacked when we're low. Okay. So you're the greatest threat to what they call the devil here, which is it's just the D's, you know, it's just the lower vibrations. It's just the guardian of the lost souls here. When you are shiny and when you are all the way in grief, you are almost untouchable. And that's why everything gets really awful, because that is when you could totally return to your power. You can return to it in your grief, or you can return it into your love. And either way, it's an open door. Like, it's not even like there's no lock on the as above is below. Because if you can get all the way down into the grief, you will return back to your truest nature, which is love. If you could let yourself fully grieve, right? And that means full acceptance, full responsibility, full allowing, full feeling. Okay. And we just don't do that. We don't want to look weak. We don't want to be a burden, right? We got to be strong. When you're in the matrix, you got to be strong. You got to be, alive. And this is what happens, why spiritual people get trapped here for thousands of years. This is going to blow your mind. Okay. Because when I got this one, I was like, oh my God, this is so my story. So my story. So what happens was, when you start to accumulate a lot of more grief and more humiliation and more of all these things that's already in your soul while you're here because your childhood sucks, you start to get heavier. Okay. You start to work harder. You start to study more. You start to figure out why you feel so horrible. Okay. And what you realize is that I can't go into my grief because there's no one here to protect me. There's no one here to understand me. So I cannot grieve. I can't even be mad. Okay. Well, what can I do? Because I am source energy. So what empaths, sensitives, light workers, and whatever you want to call yourselves, we do with this feeling is we direct it to someone else. Okay. So instead of feeling the need to go into our baggage and sit and unpack, we become healers. We become saviors. We become rescuers. We become practitioners. We become all the things that you guys have been and I have been. Life coaches, teachers, doormats, people pleasers, because you have such a strong desire to heal, but you can't touch the baggage. So guess what? You stop feeling it because you turn your satellite towards unity consciousness, and then you begin to feel everything out there that your soul is actually feeling. Okay. And you're like, well, I had to heal them. I had to help them. I had to pay their bills. I had to. Because what you've done is you've completely moved away from your body. Okay. This is why empaths and sensitives and light workers are so sick in their bodies. You turn the satellite of my desire to heal thyself turns to, I feel the world's pain, and I'm literally using all of my source energy now to channel my spirit through other people and give to them what I can no longer feel within myself. Okay. That was the thing that just blew my mind when I got to Kansas City. And it was like, wow, this place is quite spiritual. There's a spiritual joint on every corner. And I'd walk in and the lady teaching Reiki, she had cancer. And I was like, I didn't want to judge, but I'm like, I don't want that on me. And then I'd go over here and I'm like, this one's got a big lump on her neck, but she's like a great healer. And I'm like, what is this? Aren't we supposed to be a little self-focused here? Aren't we supposed to be healing ourselves first so we could be the example? And again, I knew that 12 years ago, but then when you can't somehow get into your own soul because it just feels like such a contradiction of who you are, it doesn't even feel like yours, Like we disown our own baggage for so many years because we can't feel it. Like it's so intense. We would rather feel our own pain through other people because there's somehow it's a little less painful. But actually, you can't manifest anything that's not you. So every time there's someone in pain outside of you, it is your own soul vibrating that particular pattern and telepathically communicating through someone else to get your attention so that you can look within. But what we do is we abandon and reject the physical body. There's not one empath in here, not one that hasn't dealt with body issues for the exact same thing I'm talking about here. You either abandon it, reject it, or abuse it. Okay? Guys, you abuse it because it's not doing what you want. Ladies, we don't like how it looks, we abandon it. And so then what happens is our higher guidance is like, she's not getting this. Every time her soul says, I need help, she's like, someone needs help. I'm gonna go. Okay? And then if you're like me and you figure out you can make a living at this, there's way more reasons to abandon yourself. You're like, because you can get some money and you can get like a nice house, and you really don't have, as long as the money's coming in and you're saving people, you're not feeling the pain. It's like when your adrenaline is so high, you have no idea how much pain you're in. Okay. So as long as we have this false purpose to save the world, okay, at the expense of our body getting weaker and tired, right? And then at some point we're just like, I can't keep this motivation. I can't keep going. I can't keep helping everybody, especially when, you know, your cup does somehow get empty and then they just turn on you and attack you because you're not constantly giving them this stream of your consciousness. And really the attack is coming from your own soul. Like, where have you been? You just abandoned me. And your soul is like, that was from me. Okay. So anytime you get attacked outside of you, it's your own soul. Like, that's what you get for running away from me. You're here to find me, not save everybody else, because you can't save anyone. It's a hologram of you. And because you are working outside of you constantly, the more people that there are to save, okay, the more you're working, the more distance you're creating between you and your own body. My sickest clients, you guys, my sickest clients to date are nurses and doctors. Okay? Because they don't know like about the spiritual wellness that we do. And so they will just like live on caffeine and Adderall. They will keep going for people that literally would replace them or get mad at them if they weren't right in front of them all the time. Like there's no gratitude there for their job. It's almost like they're in self-punishment, purgatory of being a healer, right? And so if you've made a career out of this and now it's time for you to turn inwards and you're like, what happened? Well, if you weren't living in your house, okay, you weren't cleaning it and decorating it and putting fresh flowers in it and loving on it and dusting it, how would your house look? And who would be living in there, right? Because here's the thing, you have a physical body, which is the one of the most, this is the commodity on earth, is the host. Because there's two types of spirit here. There's a spirit of life and there's a spirit of death. Now, the spirit of death cannot, they have ruined their chances to have their own body because they are a lost soul without a host and a spirit at this point. And so it becomes the spirit of death, right? So let's say I'm saving the world, which I did, which I was doing, at least trying my whole life, actually. I mean, I would abandon myself. I would have earaches at 5 years old and I would be making sure my mom was okay. You know, like that was just my story. And so I was just like, I didn't like the way it looked anyway. So it was easier for me not to pay attention. And then what happens is because we are not connected to this, we are not powerful manifestors. You guys, you're manifesting through your body. All right. So when you send out a command as spirit, it has to go through your kingdom of heaven to be generated because your eyeballs do not see outside of you. Your eyeballs see black. You're actually seeing what's on the inside of the projector. Okay. So if you're not here, if you're not in your own theater, if you're not your own actor and your own director, and you're looking at the world stage, it's going to be a bunch of literally rotten souls, okay, enslaved souls that are victim and perpetrator in nature. So this is exactly why empaths manifest narcissists, because the thing is your higher self is like, how do I get her into the body? Was it going to be cancer, bankruptcy? We've got to get her back into this body somehow. Is it going to be fibromyalgia like it was for me? Right? Is it going to be, you know, you lose all your money and you can't afford to go anywhere and you're stuck with yourself? Like, what is going to be your story? If you keep working on this collaboration with yourself, eventually you're going to meet some sort of fast that is going to get you to turn inward. And narcissistic relationships are the fastest way for you to turn inward, because you are literally abandoned, betrayed, dried up. Like, you are empty and bled out after one of those relationships. Like, your worth is in the toilet. So now your spirit is the vibrational match of your soul for the first time. You can start identifying with yourself. See, when you turn in the direction of the world to save, you become a narcissist to yourself, because the definition of a narcissist is one who lacks empathy for others and only cares about themselves. So what you're doing is the opposition of that frequency. Is you're lacking empathy for you, and you're giving all the empathy to everyone else. And so a narcissist is doing the exact opposite. And that's why in polarity of nature, you're a vibrational match. And this is why you'll get narcissistic business partners, or you'll have narcissistic family around you. Okay? Because you are creating that to show you how you are treating the very reason you are here. Empaths and sensitives think that they're here to heal Earth. This is a simulation, okay? This is a vibrational holographic video game that is all based in integration through awareness. All right? And so once you start like realizing that you really can't save the world and you're enabling people who should be saving themselves, you start to back away from that. And then you're like, well, what's my purpose? I don't know what my purpose is if I'm not supposed to save everybody. Your purpose is to save your soul. All right. Your purpose on this planet at this time in this way is to retrieve, integrate, and save your soul from being enslaved, because it's not owned by you right now, especially if you have abandoned and rejected it. And if you've done like what I've done and you've turned against yourself because there's too much there you don't want to confront, there's too much pain there, there's humiliation, there's all kinds of ick, right? The natural way for you to feel valuable and as of worth is to, well, I can't help myself. And so let me get needy boyfriends, let me get takers, let me get one-sided friendships, let me help till I'm bled dry. And then when I literally physically cannot give anymore, you start to see that everybody is angry with you because you're not giving. You created entitlement and you've enabled them. And so now you're down to like your circle of 30 people that you know, because all those friends that you can't give anymore to, they weren't your friends. And now you're like, it's me, myself, and I, basically. And now the work can begin. Okay. So I hope this makes sense, because like this question has pondered me for so long. Like, why are the greatest healers on the planet unwell? Or why are they like into weird kink? You know, you meet this like amazing guy in Peru that's like a guru, but he's like just out to get chicks. You know, it's like, what is up with us? Because here's the thing, it's all about adaptability. It's all about like you get here and you figure out how to survive. You don't get here and remember you're here to break out. But see, you can't break out in the vibration of pain. You can't break out if your soul is still vibrating lack and suffering and poverty, because that is the vibrational match of jail. It's like all the lights will go off if you start to try to break it out. That's what I said, is when you start to shine. And see, here's usually our reason for shining. And I know this because this is like literally my story I'm giving you today. when you go to shine, it's to prove that you're valuable and that you are someone and that your voice matters. You know, I would always like do my biggest productions after a breakup. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to go on tour. You know, it's like after a breakup, because there would be a lot of pain there, and I would like turn it into energy. And then it's like, now I get to go around the world and save people who give two fucks about me. Excuse my language. You know what I mean? Like, for what? For what was I really doing except getting further a distraction away from myself? And so for me, COVID was the best medicine that I could have had, because I couldn't do anything, right? Like, there was like, everybody was kind of like, we don't have really money to do anything and we can't go anywhere and we're all stuck here. And that's when it was like, I got to turn around and look at this. And I was like, ooh, it's like the Taylor Swift song, "Hi, it's me, I'm the problem." Right. And that's when quantum fitness was born. And I realized the pain body that Eckhart Tolle talks about is the soul. Okay. It's not some egoic, parasitic thing you get upon you don't get an ego when you arrive from pure positive consciousness. You'll never have anything that you're not a vibrational match to, ever. So even if you're a shiny child of God that just embodied from the womb, you're gonna arrive in the womb, subconscious mind, that was waiting for you on Earth. Or at least not on Earth. I won't say that, because Earth is not actually playing this game. Earth is housing this game. Okay, so you have to look at Earth as like the mall. All right. And I don't know what my dog's doing. And in the holographic experience that you're in, the Truman Show that you're in right now, is like just one store of the mall. So don't like put Earth into this war here, because she's just a loving mother. Like, yeah, play out your stuff, guys. You know, it's just like, do what you need to do. But there's 12 dimensions on Earth. So, and this is the third dimension. Okay, so it's like there's a lot of other stuff going on here as far as parallel and all that stuff. But you're always going to be physically focused on soul recovery. Now, you've got to start to notice, am I actually looking at someone else's recovery? Or am I looking at how to get away from my recovery? Because that's usually the only two directions that a spiritual person will go. Binge watching teachers. How do I get that feeling I got yesterday from that one class? Okay, because what you're doing is you're getting further and further away from your own soul, from constantly being in a state of research and knowledge, because you're getting human hormones out of it. You're getting aha moments. Things are clicking. But the thing is soul retrieval, okay, does not happen from an aha awareness of it. Because I've been kind of aware of this for like 5 years. Okay. And I'm just getting to the place in my own consciousness where I feel strong enough to do something about it, to be honest. Because you can be aware of this, but when you actually go like, yee, I got to go in there. And a very difficult part of going in there is that it's almost like it's time travel. So when you go in there, whether it's by accident or by choice, you're going to rendezvous with the exact scene of the crime or the trauma that created the pattern. But see, this is why we did so much spiritual work. So we could be someone who could hold space. We've been saving everybody else. We just use all those tactics here, because there's going to be baby versions of you in there. There's going to be child versions of you. There's going to be, ratchet, defiant teenage versions in there of you. There's going to be masculine versions, feminine versions, demonic versions, angelic versions. Who knows how long it's been here, right? It's just like when you get into a relationship and your baggage starts to come out at 3 months and you're like, ooh, sorry. Yeah, that really irritates me when you leave your underwear on the floor, right? But 2 months ago, that was adorable. You see, so when you're in the honeymoon effect of the loop, it's designed to entrap you back in there. So hopefully you will pay attention to what's going on. Your own awareness is your only salvation. And so what is going to happen is, because and it's really sad, but the most amazing angelic spirits in this hologram right now that are chasing saviorism or running a hero complex or meditating out of the body so that they don't have to be there, right? Right now, what's happening, it's the 100 monkey effect on both sides. Unity consciousness is expanding because more people are integrating their soul. So the heaven on earth template is like completely built, and more LED like tablets are clicking in, and it's getting bigger and bigger. But as it gets bigger, right, so does separation consciousness. Okay, because more people are abandoning their own souls for circumstances or for the love of their life that is not returning their call, and they have no idea that their soul is enslaved with their agreement, right? Because, well, this is just how it is, and I just so the better relationship with your body. Okay, this is why I studied martial arts for so long. The better relationship you have with your body, the easier this process is going to be, because your body is where all of that feeling, the GPS is to both your superhuman abilities and your enslaved soul is. Okay, and if you can act like a loving parent, you're on the right track, because it is really, it's time to save yourself, because hell is getting bigger, but so is heaven. All right, and I'm here like, let's make heaven crowded. Like, let's make it like no standing room, right? Because hell is like, you know, I mean, we all know what that feels like. We've been living in it a long time, and our own avoidance of it also. See, it's like we're not, I feel like the empathic community is in the worst possible place, because we know what heaven feels like. It's in every cell and every ounce of us. We've never felt like we fit in hell ever, yet we seem to be more stuck than regular people that seem like they have it kind of figured out. And it's very disempowering, and it devalues us because the contrast doesn't feel familiar, right? Like our baggage doesn't feel familiar when we get here. It feels like a slap in the face. It feels like you're on the wrong planet. It feels like you've never seen any of that mess before. Okay, because you were off getting shiny and source energy, purified, completely wonderful, returned to the stream that you never had a want, you never had a need, and now you're coming back here, and it's the heaviest of needs, it's the heaviest of wants, it's separation. And so instead of us like getting in there, we create more separation. So right now, take notice the health and vitality of your human body, okay? And how you are working to become one with it. Because as you become one with the human body, you are becoming one with the soul. The hardest thing in the world is to wrangle this thing. Like, you know, you hear about these horse breakers that they like get a wild like a wild stallion that has a whole bunch of potential. And they're like, that's the one I want. But that's courting, that's capturing, that's containing. And it's all coming from a loving place, but not from the horse's perspective. The horse doesn't know it's about to have this amazing life with its rider. It feels like you're trying to capture it and trap it because the body has become the feral child of hell. Your own addictions will turn against your spiritual journey. Okay, your body is like addicted to sugar and social media and dopamine hits, and it's so unlike who you truly are, which is natural fasting and, you know, not very materialistic and already has everything they need. And then you get into the body and it's constant hunger, it's constant tantrum, and it's like, you know, and you when the horses get broken, they like literally like run around in this like trying to figure out how to escape. And I got a firsthand knowledge in this because I'm raising these two puppies, right? And they're doing exactly the same thing. And I'm literally having to I'm not breaking their spirit, I'm breaking their ego. Okay, because that's the thing that needs to get broke. So all this biohacking stuff I've been teaching kind of on the side over here with myself is all about getting the body to submit to my spirit so I can help it. It's like if there was a wild animal out there that was hurt and bleeding, right? You start to come towards it, it's going to think you're going to hurt it. So you've been so far away from your body for so long, so obsessed with that twin flame over there, that your body doesn't even want you near it, because you're going to take things away. You're going to start making us do stuff we don't want. You're going to take away our dopamine hits. You're going to ask us to stay still, right? And it's just like, the body can't do that, especially when it's been groomed since it was a little tiny baby from the spirit of death. Okay. Your body has been groomed by the 7 stages of manipulation since it was little, and you're excited for the breadcrumbs. You're excited to get treated like shit. And not you, but your body is, because that's what's familiar, family. Okay. So the spirit of death is always whispering in the body's ear, because guess what? As long as your body is alive here, it uses you as a host. It can taste food and it can have experiences. And this is why when someone becomes the spirit of death, how kinky and distorted and how the 7 deadly sins is the basic description of the spirit of death embodied. Because it goes on this rampage of like, I finally got a body, I'm going to eat everything, and I'm going to have all this crazy sex, and I'm going to hurt myself, and it's going to feel amazing, right? Because the more someone is connected to the spirit of death, the more demonic the behavior becomes, because the spirit that runs through them is the spirit of death. So that's the outcome. That's the desired outcome. And they don't care about running your body into the ground like your first car. Remember, we were like, who cares? Park anywhere. We're going to get a better one. That is how the spirit of death sees your body. And the spirit of life sees your body as a temple. Okay. It sees it as a way that it could create complete immortality if it was allowed to connect. It's like that movie Avatar, right? Where they have to connect with like the horse, and they have to build trust, and they have to build that friendship. You are exactly the same way with this body. All right. But if you have abandoned and rejected it, then it's not you who's necessarily hosting it, because you're out here saving the world. You're so concerned with who woke you up in the middle of the night, who needs a Reiki session, than your own soul that is being groomed to its own death. This is how people can get 1,000 pounds, because they're being groomed into their own death, and they want to die. The body's like, I don't care if it kills us. It's amazing. How do you think people do heroin until they die? They don't care if it kills them. It's the instant gratification of that hit that makes it feel, because that spirit of death has to have a host. And so the way that it lures spirit embodies here is because it has everyone's soul. So we have to come here and embody to get our soul. Okay. So spirit comes in and it creates a body out of its soul and its spirit. And now there's a physical body. And the spirit of death is like, these babies are born. We're going to run them till the wheels fall off. And we don't care how young they are, because when they're really little, they don't have all that soul ick on them. Okay. And then we'll get their soul too. And then their spirit's going to come looking for it. So it's this constant war, but it's really, you're not actually in war with the devil here. You're not at all. The only war you're in is in your own abandonment and rejection of self. Because the way that I want to teach you guys, or remind you guys, I'm never going to teach you anything you don't know, but the art of Imagineering is about, it's about breaking the stallion. It's about breaking the ego addiction to 3D. All right. It's about getting your body to go, wait a second, what are we capable of in here? Wait, what are you showing me? Because here's the thing is, the body is used to going, I need food, I need money, I need clothes, I need love, I need this. And then you come in and you start in the closet, you're hiding, nobody can see you. You start to show this body who it really is in imagination. All right. And you start to develop this relationship. So I would say it's the opposite of grooming, because we're not like tricking the body. We're like, let me show you who you are. And this is why you've got to do your Imagineering consistently. Because if I'm a parent and I'm just saying, you did a great job once every 3 weeks, I'm going to be like, nah, forget it. I'm going to go eat that sugar over there. So this will break every addiction. This will break your stronghold on the spirit of death. The more imagineering you're doing, your vibration is going to raise to the point where the spirit of death is going to be like, ick. Okay. I don't want to be in that host. But it will fight you every way, depending on how long you've abandoned it. And this is a war that I've been in this year. Okay. Because I did not realize that I had abandoned my own body to go try to save the world. I didn't realize that until I started doing quantum fitness and I started getting in here and I was like, this is a wreck. I mean, what was going on behind closed doors? Nightmare. All right. I mean, it was like squatters moved in and now I'm trying to love it. And it's like, doesn't believe me and it's sabotaging me. And it's like having me give me nightmares in the middle of the night. And I mean, I went through it until I really started the Imagineering work and made that my new normal. Because the more you blast your body with light, the more it will become light. But if you're just letting it run and 4 hours on social media, who's the body going to trust? You're not giving it anything. You're not giving it anything substantial. It believes that everything is outside of it. Love's outside of me. Money's outside of me. Connections are outside of me. You're giving me nothing except the energy to get through the day. You see, so this is where the relationship is built. And this is why when I'm doing this, I'm going to do this 90-day boot camp with people called Manifest Your Dream Body. And when I say that, I don't mean like rock 6-pack abs, although you probably get them. What it really is it's 30 days of Imagineering training, like hardcore. Like there's probably 15 or 20 different Imagineering processes that you can choose from throughout the day to just bombard your system with light. All right. And it's all coming from your own third eyes, what you know to be heaven. And then the second part of it is the thought rehab. Because here's the thing. I can't take Donna through rehab unless she's got a reason to live. You see what I mean? So I can't just be like, do rehab with me. You guys would be like, nah, I got to go look at social media. Right. But if I gave you 30 days of heaven, and then you were like, that's what I want. Now you're going to check yourself into rehab. Because now 30 days of rehab is we've got to clear the dark energy out of your body. Okay. All of the doubt, all of the divergence, all of the delay, right? All of the degrading, the critical talk, all of the guilt, all of the shame, all of the betrayal. Not 1 ounce of that can be in your body if you're going to really build heaven on earth. Because unity consciousness is love. It isn't, well, I can forget everybody except you. Okay? Because guess what? Who you're pointing at is who's in your soul. That's you. Okay? That's probably the person that you need to forgive the most because that's what's in your soul holding you here every 1,000 years. Who knows how long you've been recycling that relationship? You see? And so if we can use our physical reality as the measurement and the storyline so that we can use our physical reality as rehab, then there is a very, very detailed 30-day thought rehab process that I'm going to take you guys through. And then the last 30 days is that's when we start to do the alchemy, affirmation, and embodiment, which means that that's when kind of the rider starts to kind of like gain the trust of the horse and gets on it for the first time. Okay. So, and that's 60 days in, you guys, because I can't teach thought rehab because you got nothing to live for except sugar. Okay. And I can't, until you have a reason to do this work, you're not going to willingly do it. I know because I have 4 kids and this is how I parent as well, right? It's like build them up and then be like, okay, now we got to change this so you can have that forever. It's the same concept because we're all feral children. The body is the child, okay? But it also is the soul manifested and your spirit manifested. That's why it's duality in there. Okay, so then the 30 days is when we start walking, talking, thinking in heaven, which means everything we say, everything we do, everything. I mean, like literally, it's now becoming oneness. So like Dermot, when you play the guitar, you don't have to think about the chords anymore. You don't think about, oh, is that A? Well, you don't have to do that. It's like Your body is in sync. And as soon as you learn the song, you don't have to think about it again. Okay. That's what we have to do. We have to get that idea of heaven so locked into the body that the body knows how to walk in heaven and doesn't have to ask you, is this heaven or hell? Doesn't have to ask you. The body knows. Just like when you see someone, like the people that we admire the most on this planet, you guys, are the people who do effortless grace in their bodies. It's like you see someone paint and you're like, wow, like it just happens. It's so effortless, right? Or ballerina. And you guys know how much they have to train those bodies to get them like that. See, you're seeing the final product of that and you're like, whoa, I could never do that. Well, no, you could, but you won't 60 hours a week doing it. They will. And that's what's going to take. If you want this to be your last lifetime here, guys, that's what's going to take. You're not getting out of here until you are the dancer and the singer and the musician, because it's the oneness with the body. The body will start to mold into your spirit instead of your soul. Okay. If you're looking in the mirror naked at yourself, like certain areas, that's soul baggage. That's pain manifested, right? You quiet your mind and you do a body scan and your knees on fire. That's pain manifested. It's not to be avoided. It's not to be, mean to it. It's like, that's where my baggage is. It's literally right here. And when we don't look here, it populates everywhere else around us. So you're never getting away from it. But we've got to we've got to bring the kingdom of heaven to the body. So the body will know thyself. And then it will have the reason. Yeah, I really like my kids, like they get their first cavity. Now I really want to take care of my teeth now. It's like we're such a consequence like species. Like things have to go so bad for us to want to do good. Because to me, like pain wakes us up. It puts us to sleep, but it also wakes us up because as above is below, everywhere here. So the very things that the template or this particular hologram is using to entrap you is the exact same philosophy you're going to use to save you. They're hypnotizing you. You're going to hypnotize yourself. Okay. They're whispering in your ear that you suck and you're worthless. Guess what? We got the other ear. All right. We're going to do exactly the same exact way that you were enslaved is the way you get set free. It's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel wrong. Your brain is not going to accept it. Your subconscious is going to fight you, right? But here's the thing. If I would have done this Imagineering work first, I jumped right into thought rehab, and it was just a full-blown civil war. It was like I had a wild cat in my house for months. Okay. And it was just tearing me up and ruining everything, costing me money, literally. Like that's the war I was in. And then I was just like, wait a second. How do I parent? Right? You build up like fact that they could be this amazing dancer, and then you show them how many hours they have to dance. You see what I mean? It's like my son, he just wants to play the drums. Like, I mean, he's drumming everything. And so Christmas came and we got the drum set, the parent-friendly ones where you can put the headphones on and you can't hear anything and it's all digital, and he can add other instruments in, he can do overlays. There's a coaching program in there. I mean, like I spent some money on it. He's used it 3 times because he already believes he's not a drummer, right? And the coaching program does not come to him and say, hey, it's time to coach, right? And so he has to bring himself over to it. And if he's feeling bad about himself 90% of the time, why? Even if it's that easy, I'm not going to sit down and do it. This is why you're not going to lose weight. This is why you're not going to stop that addiction. This is why you're not going to start choosing that same woman to date. That's why you're not going to stop doing what you're doing, because the voice in your ear says, what's the point? And it's not fair. You're never going to be that dancer. You're never going to be that singer. Okay. You're never going to be that good. But see, you, with facilities of your God consciousness embodied. I mean, you'd make Rob Rosland and like all these famous musicians look like kindergartners with what you're capable of. If full integration could happen and the soul could integrate into that, which means instead of believing that it's never chosen and it's not good enough and it's not worthy, What if your soul believed it was truly worthy and your spirit was there to confirm it? What do you think your body would be capable of? Because even the people out there that are the 1% that are doing amazing things with their body, but then on the weekends that are like caught with a prostitute, they still got soul baggage. They might be working the body to get the body to be a beautiful dancer, but they're not working their soul baggage. I want us to work our true God spark potential. All right. Which means it's like your own sport you're going to create. And your Imagineering is not something that I can show you the exact how to create it, but what you're going to see in there, guys, there's no way I would be able to show you. Because like each of us have like an LED screen that is our version of heaven. And then when we click in together, we make one big puzzle, but it doesn't mean we're going to be the same. So I can't be like, okay, and this is what I see when I go in there, because that wouldn't be fair to you, right? Now, there is other Imagineering techniques that I'm going to be showing you guys that are going to help you get to that point where you start to see your heaven, the actual reason you're here, right? Because hell is getting so heavy that it's literally turning on itself, right? And that's what darkness does, is it turns on itself. It's not unity consciousness, it's separate consciousness. This is why when you get too close to love, something creates a separation on earth. As soon as you get too close to love, either you're doing it or they're doing it. And you're like, why can't we just love? Because this is separation consciousness. This is designed to keep you separate from your soul and so distracted on the soul's addictions. And the spirit of life keeps you working towards the donut on the string that you die. And you're like, oh, we did it again. Like we did it again. And there's more. It's heavier now because we weren't there for half of our life. And it was doing God knows what with God knows who. You see, because that program, I'm not worthy, is going to make some really bad choices for itself. It's going to be in the wrong places at the wrong time because unworthiness needs to create unworthiness. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that happens. And so you're going to have to double dutch and get in there and be like, whew, it's literally what I will say these last 6 months have been. It's like breaking a horse and not knowing how to break a horse. That's what it's felt like getting the body to fully submit to me, where now the automatic voice in my head is positive all the time. And I'm not living in lack in my mind, and my heaven on earth feels realer than this. 60 days at least before I even started to put my toe into that. And I would say that I have pretty good imagination. I would say that, I've been working on this body stuff for a couple of years. I'm not going to say it's going to be that hard for you, especially if you guys focus first on Imagineering. Okay. If you focus there first, you're going to show the body something better than it has now. That's the only way it's going to change for you. Because the addictions that it has that you're like just done with, it's never going to give up unless there's something better. Because this isn't a world where you take the child's toy away. You got to give them something better, right? You're going to take the knife out of the child's hand and you're going to put a big old disco ball. Okay. But if you don't have something to give that child will literally destroy you. Okay. Like this is what's in the orphanages. Like this is what happens in there. And I just wanted to share this bigger glimpse because yesterday was kind of just like the diagram. And here's my life. I wake up 3 o'clock in the morning making these diagrams. I'm just like, can I rest? Because on top of me rescuing my own soul here, I also have this purpose, right? And so it's like, I put my soul baggage down and then go help you. But see, this feels so good when I get to do this, not at 3 a.m. I'm like, curse you. But now I'm like excited because I know that if you can get rid of what's the point and it's not fair that holds you hostage, and everything I do turns to shit anyways, and I'm, saying the same thing someone else is, why would someone listen to me, right? My story proves that no one loves me and that I'm not chosen. If you don't constantly choose you, that story's true, right? So you got to take it in whatever condition it is. And it's like moving back into a house that has been ransacked and squatted in. And your job is to make it beautiful and make it yours And no, you don't have to be like, okay, I want blue eyes. Like the essence of your soul, yeah, you can if you want, by the way. And I really recommend if there is something on your body that you're like, you know what, I know my spirit has blue eyes, please do it for yourself, because anything you can do to change your body that proves God exists, it helps our case, guys. It helps us show other people how to do this. No more saving people. This is showing people through the example of what you are capable of. That's the market we're in now. If I'm not living my example, then I need to just go hide in the corner. And that's why last year I was super transparent. Like, I'm in hell today, because I was. And now I'm getting on the other side of this. And now my body and I feel like we're painting a good picture now. And our sea legs are getting there. I'm not going to say that I'm like jumping off a cliff and flying yet, but I definitely feel closer to that than I did 3-4 months ago. And the integration of the soul and the spirit and the body, it feels like nothing's missing. That is one thing I can tell you, is like nothing is missing ever. Like you'd be like, oh shoot, I forgot I was even using money anymore, because like you feel so fulfilled, you feel so satisfied, you feel so whole, right? And you're just like it's a different walk. Half the time you forget you're in 3D, right? Which is awesome, because you know you're building the new home, okay? And as soon as you integrate 51% of it, you'll be living in it physically. So first, the last thing I want to say here, and I know I'm just beating a dead horse, but it's kind of like this. If a woman wanted to have a baby, but her body was not fertile, okay, and she couldn't have a baby, and I've had many, many clients like that, what would be the first thing that we would have to do? Is she'd have to turn around and start facing her body issues. You know, we do acupuncture and we do like trauma release, and we would start working on the soul to make her womb fertile. You are the fertility of your manifestations, guys. The health and vitality of your body is going to be directly seen in your manifestations. Okay, so the healthier you are in here, the healthier manifestations are. But if you're starting a diet and it's lasting 2 weeks, well, that's what's going to be your relationship. It's going to last 2 weeks, because that's who you are. You see what I mean here? This is why I've been saying consistency and discipleship, not discipline. Because really what that horse is doing is it's learning how to be a horse, but a different reality where it gets to go ride in shows and get lots of attention, gets food whenever it's hungry, but it doesn't see that as freedom at first. So your body's not going to see this as freedom at first. It's going to see that you're taking it away from all of the things that it loves. And I'm not even asking you to change your diet for 2 months. Okay, so, and this is why, like, we don't go cold turkey, because you don't take away the child's pacifier, which is social media. You don't take away the child's pacifier if that's cigarettes right now, right? You introduce something better than a pacifier. Like I used to tell my kids, like, we didn't have pacifiers, but we had blankies, okay? And so I'd be like, well, when you are done with the blankie, we got to go to Disneyland. That's what big girls do. And they were like, okay, I'll let you know. You know what I mean? And then when they were ready, they were like, here's the blankie, let's go. You see? So it's like, you got to give that body something that's going to be way better than the destructional path it's on, even if you are a healer. You got to take stock of that. Like, am I healing everyone else except me? That's a red flag. Right? Am I able to give to other people what I can't give to myself? That's a red flag. Right? And maybe you just don't know your own heaven yet. Maybe it's just like you want to know it, but if you actually set an intention and said, take me there, you would see things that you've never seen before. I promise you, because it's waiting for you. You wouldn't have got to this point of the journey. You know, I would say my class, and probably other people in our situations, we're moving away from like the fear motivation. Like the fear doesn't wake us up in the morning and pay our bills. We're literally having to go like, do I care about my bills? You know, like we're more motivated by like peace and love and joy. And it feels like almost betrayal at first when we first like lose that fear motivation, because we're like, we really should be afraid of this, and why are we not? It scares me that I'm not afraid. As soon as you move through the threshold where you are no longer fear motivated, you are ready for this work. But if you're still fear you're motivated that you got to look a certain way and you got to have a certain status and you got to have a certain money, you are definitely not ready for this video. And you're probably looking at me like I'm crazy and you're going to say something real mean at the bottom of this, and more power to you, because your body is enslaved and being channeled through the darkness. And I feel bad for you. You know what I mean? Like, it just is what it is. If you're ready to hear it, you're ready. So that's what I wanted to share today. And so in the fellowship, I'm going to show you guys how to do a very fast imagineering technique that's only 5 seconds. And it's about like showing your body a reel of something that is in your future presence waiting for you in that parallel reality in a very unique emotion. And it's all chemistry here. So I'll show you guys that in the fellowship today. And then I'm also going to show you how to manifest for others, because, you know, the thing that you need the most, you are the furthest away from manifesting it, because need implies lack, and lack implies there's pain wall between you and your desire. All right. So, because if you want something, you're moving into the field of manifesting it. When you like know it's yours, you're going to manifest it. But if there is a need, if there is an obsession, if there's a lot of lack, if there's pain involved, if there's like that needy, like obsessive compulsive energy, you're not going to be able to get there, because you are the vibrational match of lack. So if you do manifest something like kind of what you want, it'll be lack underneath, which means within 3 months, you'll be like, that's lack. And you won't know it at first. So but what we can do, because we're unity consciousness, is that I'm not needy of your desire. I could give 2 shits whether you get it or not. Sometimes you not getting it is good. But here's the thing. Proof is proof at this point. And I hope you're all writing in your proof journals, because if I can affirm for you in an imagineering process for you, because I'm not in lack, and I'm you. I've been doing this for my son. Like, I'm blown away. Like, this stuff he's been manifesting these last couple of weeks, I'm just like, why did I not know this? You know, because I was so far away from my soul, right? Like, you don't know what you don't know. And it's just like these things are coming in for him that I'm saying he has. To see me looking at what he doesn't have now creates unity consciousness of lack. So it's like, if he's in lack, and then I'm like, yeah, you're really in lack. That sucks. Now, 2 people are proving it. So you see how misery loves company is how we stay enslaved. And this is a loving parent here who was just feeling bad for my little boy. And now I'm like, nope, I see you this way. I affirm it. It's done. We're not talking about it again. End of story, because I said so. And then sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But it's working so much more. And I'm actually very connected to him. And so I have an agenda there, and it's still working. I don't care about what's happening in your life. Okay? So if you guys aren't in the fellowship and you want me to teach you this next week, I could teach you this in like 5 minutes. I got to go because I got it ready for another session. But it's so fast. But remember, unity consciousness, there's power in unity, and there's also power in separation. So agreeing with separation, you're empowering it, even if you're doing it from a loving space. 3D love is pain. 5D love is integration and oneness. No separation. Keep that in mind. Okay, guys, I hope you got a nugget or something. Time to clean house, right? Superhuman body first, superhuman world. Player creates the playmates, and it creates the playground. Start with the player. This is your powerhouse. This is your super suit. All right. Yes, it's messy, dirty underwear in there and all kinds of stuff. But if you stay consistent, it will earn trust, and it will do anything and everything it can for you with just your thoughts. All right. So let's go. See you guys next week. All these notifications. Go away. I'm trying to end this session.